If a bud tender recommends a product to a customer, that customer is going to buy that product. That's why it's absolutely critical for cannabis brands to have top-of-mind awareness with bud tenders so that bud tenders are recommending their brand over others. Hi, I'm Offenbonger. This is a one-hitter, and in today's episode, I'm going to show you how you can solidify relationships with bud tenders to drive more sales. Now, one of the things I want to deal with first are some common misconceptions. One of the big common misconceptions that brands have about driving sales through bud tenders is that if they educate the bud tender on their product, sales will occur. And my friends, that just doesn't happen. Look, everybody's attempting to educate their bud tenders on their products. Every single brand that's out there. There are platforms now that dispensaries and brands can use in harmony with one another to provide product education. And the reality is, product education alone does not drive sales. I'm not telling you not to do it, but what I am saying is if that's what you're counting on to drive revenue through bud tenders, you're sadly mistaken. Second misconception that I want to deal with is that participating at industry events are going to cure your problems. You know, that if you're at an industry event, bud tenders are going to see you and interact with you, and that's going to give you that top-of-mind awareness. And again, that doesn't happen. You go to an industry event right now, half of the tables are being ran by bud tenders. You don't even get an opportunity to interact with them that way. You go to industry events like in my home state here in Arizona. You walk in, there are 40, 50 different brands there. There are bud tenders. There are people from all aspects of cannabis, accounting, cultivation. There are patients. There are rec users. It's a zoo. There's no opportunity to connect. Now again, participating at industry events may be something that fits within your business mission, but if you're counting on that to drive sales with bud tenders, again, you've got a problem. The third thing is handing out swag. You know, there's this big adage, if we hand out a t-shirt or something along that line, that all of a sudden that buys us some loyalty. Again, that's a joke. Every brand's doing that. We did an event not too long ago, and one of the bud tenders said sarcastically, "Oh great, another t-shirt." The guy's got 50 of them. Okay? Those three things happen a lot in the industry. We feel like we do product education. We feel like we participate at industry events. We feel like we give out some swag, and man, we've got this bud tender thing covered. The fact of the matter is that doesn't work. The fact of the matter is that's what every other brand's attempting to do. There's nothing unique or memorable about it. So what do? How do you go ahead and connect with bud tenders in ways that are meaningful and lasting? Well, you want to tie into a basic concept. That's push the dopamine button. All of us have a dopamine button. The dopamine's part of our brain that is the pleasure center. And what we want to do as marketers is we want to tie into those pleasure centers that bud tenders have. Now, how do we do that? What do we do in ways that make our brands stand out compared to others? My first tip: whatever you do, whatever promotions you run, training you do, support you provide, focus on the interests of the bud tender, not the brand, not your business. What counts is what's important to bud tenders. And if you want to break through the noise level, break through that barrier to get through to them so that they drive meaningful sales for you, you want to focus on what their needs are and what their interests are. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. Second, be unique. Do something different than what all the other brands are doing. Every other brand's parading their sales team and their brand ambassadors in there for vendor days and lunch and learns. And, you know, I've done these lunch and learns. You're lucky if you get 10, 15 minutes. You're lucky if you get any attention. Every brand's doing those. They're not unique. You want to come up with unique ways to connect with with bud tenders, unique promotions that you want to do, things that are meaningful. I've got specific examples that I share with you in a downloadable ebook. I'm going to put that ebook link right in the comment section, in the description section of this video. So grab the link, look at the ebook. In that ebook, I give you 5 specific ideas you can use that make you unique in ways to connect with bud tenders. You want to apply those. You need to be unique. You need to be different. You need to stand out. That's what creates memorable experiences. Third, avoid the noise. I already talked about, you go to these industry events, especially in my state here of Arizona, there are 40, 50 brands there. I see all these companies bringing out samples. They have dab stations everywhere. I'm here to tell you, my friends, by the time that consumer is on the third dab station, they don't remember what they've tried, what they've had, who's even there. There's no unique way to stick out. You get lost in the crowd. Look for ways that you can connect and interact with budtenders without all that noise, without all that competing brand competition, and you're going to be on your way to better, more meaningful experiences. Next, whatever promotions you run with budtenders, go big or go home. You know, in the world that we live in right now, people don't get off their rear end for 10% discounts. They don't get off their rear end for a $50 stipend. You know, even $100 isn't exciting anymore. You want to do things that are memorable and exciting. Let me give you an example. At the time I record this video, the hottest thing going on in the world right now is or here in the United States anyway, is the Taylor Swift concert. You know, your brand could run a promotion or a contest giving away Taylor Swift tickets. That would be something unique. That would be something memorable. That would be something that keeps you standing out from the crowd, and it's something that's relevant and provides value to your audience, that being budtenders. There are a lot of ways you can do things like that, but the bottom line is this: do something that's big and impactful. Little stuff doesn't move the needle. Big stuff does. My next point that I want you to keep in mind is that you want to tie any of your rewards and any of your budtender incentives to your business objectives. I know that sounds basic. I know that sounds simplistic, but it's amazing to me how many people lose sight of what the business objective is when they put together a promotion. Why are you doing this? I just dealt with a brand that put together a customer event that was a +1 so I could come from the industry and bring my significant other. They had 15 people show up. 15. Why? Because they weren't focused on what was the interest of the budtender. They really had no business objective for doing it other than to say they did something. That's just a waste of time and a waste of money. It doesn't kind of thing that's not profitable and good for you to practice. So don't do it. Next, if you run promotions or incentives, keep them to 13 weeks or less. 13 weeks, 3 months is a good period of time to capture people's attention. It better be good. You need to provide them a lot of updates. Again, we talk about that in the ebook that you can download free right in the description section of this video. Last but not least, everyone that's associated with your team, your brand needs to be promoting your budtender program. Every single one. Your salespeople, your brand ambassadors, every touch point that customer has with your organization, your team needs to be promoting whatever incentives that you run. Okay? The reality is that if you drive sales if you interact with budtenders in the right way, you're going to drive sales in ways that are absolutely blow your mind. My ebook has lots of ideas. I hope you download it now. And hey, I'm Offenbonger. We've just done a one-hitter. I had a great time doing this one-hitter with you. I hope you did too. I'd like you to do more with me. Simply hit the subscribe button to this channel. You'll be notified each and every single time that we publish something new. Thanks for joining me, and remember, have some fun and don't be a forehead.